Everybody in the right place? Oh, okay. Okay, what are we going to talk about? ADUs. Okay, first quiz of the day. What does ADU stand for?
Accessory dwelling
It's
unit.
close, but not quite.
Accessory.
Accessory dwelling unit.
Something.
So if something is an accessory, it belongs to something greater, right? What does the accessory belong to?
A home to
The primary home.
The
So
primary
that's a-
residence, okay? So people say, well, where'd you come up with that name? Well, it's somebody, when they were making the bills, all the ADU bills, they came up with this accessory dwelling unit. But basically, it's an accessory to the home. So if you've got a home, you can have an ADU, okay? So we're gonna talk about a lot of things today, and you know what? I'm gonna try to answer your questions as they come up. I have given you a place for notes on every slide that I'm gonna present, so that if you do have questions or you wanna make yourself notes to remember things, please do, okay? But also, we're going to show you in a second here, the entire presentation is going to be available for download. We're going to give you a URL and a QR code to do that, okay? So if you are worried about it, or if you want to get it, Jesse and I, put it on the other day, and we could scroll through the whole thing on our phone. That was pretty cool too. So if you like, okay? So ADUs are not a product. I'm sure it probably comes as a surprise, right? We talk about it like it's a product. Like we go to the store and we buy something, right? You buy an ADU. But the room is full of real estate professionals, okay? And what you're gonna, I hope, find out in the next hour and a half is that ADUs are making a huge strategic difference to your business, okay? And so that's why I say it's an expansion strategy, because ADUs will actually help you and allow you to expand your business. And for those of you that are new, it'll expand new opportunities that you hadn't thought about, and that you're on the exact same level of the playing field as the top producer in this office when it comes to ADUs, okay? So there's gonna be opportunity. Okay, so, here's what I just promised you. I'm gonna point this that way.
We are printing more packets, by the way. We've got like 10 more packets coming. So if you don't have a packet yet, you will.
You'll go, that's good. Okay, and so on the bottom, you've got my signature for my email, so at least you got all my contact information as well. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Went dark?
Yeah, we'll give it a second.
Okay,
Okay, now you can go back.
okay.
Yeah.
This one doesn't look like it has the,
Oh, the QR code? It should be on the second page on the.
yeah, on your printout, do you have the QR code?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to just grab it off that, please do, okay? Okay, first and foremost, what's the most important thing? It's not us, it's who?
The client.
The clients, okay? So we're gonna be client-centric, right? Because that's how we succeed, that's how we grow. So how do clients benefit from knowing more about ADUs? Let's start there, okay? So the first thing is, some clients have never heard of ADUs. So therefore, you get the chance to introduce that concept to them, and they go, wow, that's really great, thank you for sharing that, right? Also, it's shown that people that are thinking about ADUs would never think to ask their realtor about it, okay? They asked a builder, a contractor, a tradesman, or something like that, okay? So there too presents an opportunity, because if other people are waiting for a client to ask them about it, well, that's one group, but we're gonna be out there evangelizing them, right? So we're actually gonna be introducing the concept. But they rely on us to see possibilities that they didn't even know existed. That's the first group. And that's awesome opportunity. Many clients are unsure of where to start. They're interested, but where do I go? Who do I talk to first? Do I talk to the lender? Do I talk to the contractor? Do I talk to, right? So what's the process? How does this all work? And one thing, the reason that you're all so successful, why? Because your clients trust you. Okay, when you have that trust, they want to go to you. They know that you're going to give them an unbiased answer, and one that you're a fiduciary. You're going to put their interest before your own, and that's the beauty of KW Corona. And everybody expects the same thing from us, right? The agents at KW Corona put their clients first. So you're actually the best resource in the community for spreading the word, the good news about ADUs. Okay? So, understanding, if they understand it, it helps them and it helps you. Okay, why do ADUs matter right now? Well, first of all, California needs housing. We have a housing crisis, don't we?
Yeah.
We do. And actually, the way that I got into this is that we not only have a housing crisis, we have an affordable housing crisis, don't we? We do. And that's what got me excited, because I thought, wow, you mean there's actually a benefit of being able to help people because of this affordability crisis, including my own family, okay, as well as being a professional opportunity as well. Okay, but we're short millions of homes. So, and I'll tell you this, and this may surprise some of you, okay? You know who the number one state in the union is for being pro ADU and pro affordable housing? Who do you think that would be? It's California. You know, that's amazing. I mean, we're on the forefront. We're not the largest because we got a later start than some other states, but we put the most energy and the most resources and the most laws. And we just signed in 56 new laws last year that are all for ADUs. So even if you'd have gotten this information from me at the end of 2024, it's rapidly changing and all for the good. Okay, backyards are becoming important real estate, right? They could represent $2, $3, $4, $500,000 opportunity to that homeowner. Okay, you might be surprised to know there's a company called Yardsworth. Okay, you know what their business is? They buy backyards, and they write literally they write $100,000 check to the homeowner to buy their backyard. And what do? They do the same things that we're going to talk about doing, but for the benefit of our clients instead of an investor. Okay, but that's out there because some people just say, "Hey, I need the money or whatever." There's an opportunity there. So backyards are a resource, and you know, we look at when we look at a property. What do we typically look at? We look at the home, don't we? Yeah, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2 baths, blah 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 square feet, right? All the different, you know, options it has and so forth. Not anymore. Not anymore. We have to look at the whole opportunity. The whole opportunity includes the land that's underneath that house. And the sooner we start thinking that way, we're going to set ourselves apart from the rest of the realtors out there. Okay? Because that's really the truth, and that's what's making this work. Okay, so ADUs create new options. What are the options? Well,
Passive.
who's got some ideas? Go ahead.
Passive income.
Well, passive income. Yeah. What else? What are some of the other opportunities for having an ADU?
Maybe older parents?
Parents. Yeah.
Or kids.
Or kids. You ever heard the term boomerang kids? It's a real thing. You're so sad when they leave, but then they come back.
You're sadder.
And you're excited for a while, then you're like, oh my God. Okay. But multi-generational. How about that? More and more. And that's already very prevalent in our state and our community, isn't it? All right? Sure it is. And when you talk about parents, you know what else is happening a lot? You know, parents got this great big house. They raised you and your siblings in that house, and it's all been fantastic, and nobody wants to leave, right? So the parents are building an ADU, and what are they doing? They're moving into the ADU and letting the kids take over the front, or kid take over the front, raise their family so that you still have the family home, okay? And the parents are like, this is awesome. We don't have any maintenance. We don't have any, you know, headaches. It's a simpler lifestyle that we want as we age in place. So there's lots of opportunities for families to benefit from this as well. And the other thing, you know, when I talk about the kids, the other thing that maybe it's on here somewhere else, but what's typical rent for somebody that's looking for, in our community, let's say for a 2-bedroom?
$2,400.
$2,400. Any other? 2,800.
LA County is 3,400.
3,400.
By the ocean, 35,000.
And so here's the message, okay? Whoever it is in your family that's paying that rent is paying someone else's mortgage. Let's put that money in our pocket let's put an ADU here, let's have you in that ADU. Now, maybe they're not gonna give you all 3,400, they're your kids, right? But the point is that whatever money they get, they can help offset that mortgage for the ADU, they can add some more funds to the family, right? No matter what, you're keeping that money in the family. I think that's a biggie, only because I think these rents are crazy, but they get them, right? So that's what the market is. All right, and then of course, increased property value. We'll talk about that more, but obviously if you put this, you're increasing the value of your asset, aren't you? Everybody's nodding? Good. Okay, so what are the agents? Now, there's also opportunities for agents. Well, one is new listings, right? So that's a biggie, right? You're all looking to expand your business that way. Somebody have an idea? No? You know, more transactions on the same parcel, right? Now all of a sudden, you look at a parcel and the opportunity might be 2 opportunities instead of 1. Does that help your numbers?
For units.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're selling the ADU by itself?
No, we're gonna talk about that. No. But, okay, picture you got a listing, you put it on the market, there's 2 houses, one has an ADU, okay? Is that ADU gonna be fetch a bigger price?
No.
Yes. Is it gonna fetch a larger buyer pool?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you would think so. But more importantly, it actually attracts a different buyer pool. And that is someone who understands the intrinsic value of what that can do to their family, to their career, to their finances, to their family.
Legacy.
Right? And I got news for you, and you'll see this, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but you're gonna get not only full price offers, you're gonna get above full price offers, okay? Why? Because there aren't that many properties that are gonna have that intrinsic value, right? So you do not wanna miss this opportunity. So I'm gonna talk about it. I also want you to think this way. When you're on a listing presentation, your listing presentation has to include the full value of that property, even if they have no interest in an ADU. They have no interest in putting anything back there. They're leaving the state. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because it shows that what you're doing is you're putting their interest first, okay? And that's gonna be an opportunity for somebody else, a buyer, okay? So when you go on your listing presentations now, you should be showing the full opportunity for their land. They own that land, right? You're gonna set yourself apart, you think? Yeah, I think so. I think I'd be very impressed with that if somebody came to a listing presentation and was thinking that way, thinking big picture, which is really what we're here for. We're here to try to let them know about things they might not have even thought about. Okay? Okay, more ways to unlock value, of course, and we're gonna talk too about investor clients. Does anybody here have investor clients? Dave? Others? Good. Okay. The ones that didn't raise their hand, any of you interested in that? Okay, yeah. Okay, we're gonna talk about some strategies for that, okay? Yeah, because that's a big opportunity. And you know what? I don't know about you guys, but I get text messages I'd say almost every day, okay, from somebody that's looking for houses to flip. Do you guys get them?
Yep.
You do. And I'm like, well, I don't know the flipping business, and I'm sure there's people here in the room that are experienced at it and make a good living from it, okay? But what I do know is, I'm pretty conservative, what I do know is there can be a lot of risk, can't there? Yeah. And sometimes when you get into it, you don't know exactly what you're getting. So, but there's obviously a there's no inventory, otherwise why would all these people keep telling me, they tell me I can handle the listing when we do it, blah, 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 okay? So, I say if you've got investor clients and they think that way, and this is what I'm doing, okay? I'm saying to them, have you thought about manufactured or modular housing, okay? Because for the same or a smaller investment, they could get a brand new home with brand new appliances, right? Ready to move in. There's no secrets, there's no leaks, there's nothing behind those walls, there's no mold, there's all the things, you know. I think maybe that message could sell. What do you think? You know, maybe it's an option, okay? So anyhow, and we got a couple other strategies too for investor clients. Questions so far? It's awful quiet in here. Is that a good thing, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good thing. All right. Hey, look at this, people. This is not just a fad or something. This is a revolution. Look at those permits. 2016, there were 1,200 permits. 2025, 60,000. You know what that is? That's 23x growth. 2016 is when we got our first ADU laws in the state. Okay? And that's where we are today. Does anybody think that hockey stick is gonna keep going? I think that's why you're here. And that's why I think this is a great opportunity for all of us. That hockey stick is gonna keep on going. So, congratulations. Congratulations for being here, congratulations for being interested, because you're gonna be an industry leader, okay? And I'm here to help you make that happen. Okay, the first section here is gonna talk about what is an ADU, okay? We got like 5 sections we're gonna go into, and hopefully they build on each other. So the first thing you need to know is what is an ADU and what are the different types, okay? All right, I'm gonna get used to it quicker. All right, so now, ADUs, you know, they go by different names, right? We used to call them granny flats, guest houses, what else? In-law suites.
Yep, in-law quarters,
What is it?
in-law quarters.
In-law quarters, what else?
Guest house.
Guest house, what was yours?
Casita,
Casita.
yep.
Okay. No, you did. What, did I say it wrong? Did you and I say it the same?
I'm just reading what it says.
Okay, so anyhow, that's basically what we're talking about. Okay, here's the thing. In order to be an ADU, it has to meet 4 criteria, and you've got it right in front of you. These are the 4 criteria. First, it has to be an attached or detached residential dwelling unit. Residential dwelling unit, okay? Meaning no sheds, no anything. It's gotta be a place for somebody to live. All of these laws and everything we're talking about today is to help the housing crisis, okay? So that's the first thing. It can be attached or detached. 2, it must have complete independent facilities, okay, for 1 or more people living in the house, okay? So you gotta be able to sleep, eat, go to the bathroom, all the things you need to do to live have to be present. If one of them is not, it's not gonna be an ADU, okay? Third, it's gotta be located on the same lot, okay, with a proposed or existing single-family home. Now, why do I say proposed or existing? Anybody got an idea?
Because you can build an ADU before the house?
Well, you can, but that's a loophole we'll talk about. That's a good answer. Any others?
Construction of the house and an ADU at the same time.
There you go. That's what it is. The law allows us to build both simultaneous, okay? And we're doing this now. So we can put in a brand new primary and a brand new ADU at the same time, okay? You know, as long as you brought that up, I'm just gonna jump ahead for a second, okay? And then I'll pass it by later. Did everybody hear what she said? Build the ADU before the house? Well, thank God that the people that are in charge in the Altadena area from the Eaton fire, okay? We got a huge problem in Altadena. I hope some of the people in the room are working with people there, because we got some solutions for that, okay? But the big, you know, they're telling these people it could be 2 to 5 years before you're back in your primary residence, just because of all the hurdles that have to be jumped over, okay? And these poor people, they're living in a motel, they're with their kids or other family members, they're on their lot in a travel trailer, okay? So they flipped the law for the people in the Eaton fire and said those people can build their ADU first and let the primary residence come later, okay? So everybody there, you can help them by placing an ADU. And of course, it's probably a couple of years down the road, let's say when they build the primary, whenever they do, what have they got now? They've got an asset in the backyard. They can, like we talked about, they can put family members in there, they can bring a tenant in there and have a check coming into them every month. So it's also gonna improve them that way.
Does that law apply if they sell the property, the land, and the new buyer buys it, builds an ADU, or only to existing owners?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would assume they cannot sell it because usually you can't sell an ADU separate from the primary residence. So I don't think that they would have made that exception, because then they'd have a problem, because I could own the ADU and the land, and then I'm not gonna put a
It wouldn't
primary
make sense.
residence on there, wouldn't make sense.
I meant if they sell the whole lot, because now I'm working with buyers in the Altadena
Okay.
area who are buying the whole lot.
Uh-huh.
Would they also be able to buy the lot, build an ADU, and then build the house?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you for clarifying. Can everybody hear? Maybe we should pass on the mic with you too. Could you hear that?
Yes.
Yes.
We can
Okay.
hear you back.
Okay, great. You can hear her too? Okay, great. Okay, that's great. Good question. Well, what's exciting to me is the fact that we got a solution for them, okay? Now, there's other people too. I mean, there's people that are like in their RVs and things like that, so it's not like there's not others, but this way, when all is said and done, they're gonna have a great asset and one that can be meaningful to them. Okay, types of ADUs. The first one's called a junior ADU. Okay? Now, a junior ADU is you take a part of your existing home and turn it into an ADU. So it has to be within the envelope of the existing home. All right? And you can make it an ADU. Now, it has to have its own entrance. So not the front door, no, it has to have its own entrance, okay? And also, it can have its own sanitation facilities, i.e. bathroom, or it can share the bathroom with the primary residence, okay? That's the one thing it can do between both.
So if we convert the garage, that would be a junior ADU, right?
No, if you convert the garage, it's a good question, he asked, would that be an ADU? If you convert the garage, that's gonna be the next slide, which is an attached ADU, because the garage is attached.
So it would be a junior.
No, it would not be a junior. The junior is the envelope, the footprint of the primary residence. So if the garage is part of the footprint, it would be attached, okay? But yeah, and also, okay, a junior, the max size for a junior is 500 square feet, okay? 500, minimum is 150. Mhm.
So can you add a junior ADU to your primary residence and then it's just added to the walls of your house to add the room?
No, if you add, then you're talking about an attached, but you can do that.
So, would an example of this be, like a lot of, we see Lennar and DR Horton, they build what they call like a next gen suite.
Uh-huh.
Would that be considered more of a junior ADU, or are we still in the attached ADU territory?
Well, they're not ADUs, but I think they're you know, piggybacking on this, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the builder's way to get ADUs.
yes,
Because people want ADUs.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, good point, Raquel. Yeah, yes.
Do you have to have an ADU first before having a JDU, or you can just have a JDU?
No, you just have just a junior, just a junior. Yeah, and in fact, in almost all places, you can have a junior and the other one as well, an attached or detached. You know,
That one is interesting,
Yeah.
having both.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Yeah, that's big.
Yes.
I assume you have to have permits then.
For the junior ADU, it has to be inspected, okay? If you're probably putting up walls and doing things like that, then you need a permit. But if you just are taking, you know, you might have a sunroom, or I don't know, you might have some room, some section of the house, it would be inspected. Because the city or county still wants to know that it's safe, right? And that it's energy efficient and all the things that you know, inspectors want. Okay, now attached, and you were asking about the garages and things like that. So attached is attached to the, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, on the junior, if they are sharing the sanitation, it has to have a doorway between the junior and the primary. Well, you say of course, but somebody might say, no, they go outside, they come around to the front door to go to the bathroom, see? Yeah.
Just to make sure, they are sharing sanitation only, not the kitchen?
Not the kitchen,
Okay,
not the sleeping arrangements.
okay.
Yep, just,
Sharing the
just,
laundry room also?
what's that?
Laundry?
Yeah, whatever facilities there are, closets, I mean, whatever, it's, you know, but it's not, the sanitation is the only thing you can share.
Okay.
Okay, so the attached have to have its own entrance as well. So, this is why garage conversions work well, usually, because a lot of times you got the big door and you got a side door.
Junior. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got
Just a
it,
junior. No,
okay? Okay, garage conversions. And again, I'm telling you all the different ways. I don't get involved with the things that are building like this, like garage conversions and second stories and things like that, but I want you to be aware of them, because your clients, it's an option for your clients. So here's where you convert an existing garage, or, and I've got a friend who did this, they left the garage the way it was and they built the second story as an ADU.
Wow.
Okay? Above the garage. I gotta tell you something, I think it's genius.
Yeah.
Okay? Because when I talked earlier about all the pitfalls and all the surprises you might get, there's gonna be 10x the number of obstacles in a garage than there are in a house that you're gonna flip. Why? It was never meant to be inhabitable. Never meant that way. The foundation wasn't meant for people to be in it, the walls weren't made, everything was made for vehicles, okay? So a lot of times, the work that you have to put into that garage to make it into a detached ADU, it's very, very expensive and stressful, okay? That's where I really like the second story, because then you're not worried about cracks in the foundation or the drywall, or you know what I'm saying? Yes.
But the second story, if you have a regular garage, the second story would have to be a different foundation. How could you get away with that?
No, it doesn't have to be a different foundation.
No?
Well,
Not thicker,
well,
not
no, I mean,
thicker?
the engineers would need to say that the foundation you have will support the weight of the ADU, but it doesn't have to be a different foundation. Okay, because I think, and again, I'm not, maybe there's people in the room that could answer that question, but I would assume that the walls are what's really holding the majority of the support for that second story.
Yeah.
So, are you saying it's better if you're gonna wanna do an ADU up, like, 2-story, not to do it above the garage, to just do it under the main house? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is I would encourage anybody that wants to do a garage conversion, the garage you have, the 2-car garage you have, anybody that's talking about doing that, should at least look at the option of, instead of converting that first floor garage, put it above it. At least look at the option, okay? Does that make sense? Did that answer your question? Okay.
What, I was just curious, like, I wondered, how is the pricing on that compared to a separate ADU or a junior ADU?
Oh, it's gonna be more,
Oh, it's gonna be more
yeah.
expensive.
Well, everything's more than a junior, because junior really is the least amount of money you're gonna put out to
Could you?
create an
Oh, but
ADU.
you can't put a junior above, can you put a junior above the garage? No.
Nope, you can, we'll only put a junior on the existing footprint of the primary residence.
And
Okay?
it has to have a kitchen, the junior has to have a kitchen. right?
It does.
Kitchen is mentioned.
It does. They gotta be able to eat. So you gotta have like a range or something like that, and there's something, more than a microwave, we'll talk about later, there's places where you can put a microwave, not in the gym. Detached ADU, this is where I spend most of my time, okay? Is building detached ADUs, either manufactured or modular. Detached ADU can be anywhere from 400 to 1,200 square feet. Can be anything from a studio up to as many bedrooms as you can fit in 1,200 feet. And the most I've ever fit is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Yes, sir.
How does that work with like an HOA? Does the HOA have to?
Okay, I'm gonna address that question now. It's gonna come up later, but I'll take it now, okay? He asked about the HOAs, okay? Does anybody have a story about HOAs being a pain?
Where do you want me to start?
Yeah. Okay, so it's not unusual, it's not uncommon for the HOA to say, you can't build an ADU here. Okay? We got rules, we got CC&R, blah, 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 blah. You know what? Call BS on them, because it's just not true. Okay, they cannot prohibit you from having an ADU. Okay.
In my HOA, they said Rosetta Canyon, they said you cannot.
What's that?
In Rosetta Canyon, Lake Elsinore, they said you cannot.
Okay, so they say it everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah, the plan, I mean, if you leave the counter, having believed that, that's what they'd like to see. Here's the thing, okay? And they really don't have to tell you that most of the time. Why? Because most of the times, a lot of times where you have an HOA, you probably don't have the room for a 1,200 square foot or for the ADU to begin with, okay? But where you do, or where you want to have a junior, or where you want to have an attached, okay? Now, they cannot, by state law, and if anybody ever tells you that you need the help, I'll give you the statutes, okay? So you can share it with them, because no sense arguing with them, just show them the statutes.
So even if you wanted to build on the garage, they couldn't stop?
No, and that's where I'm gonna go next.
Yeah.
What they can do is they can and do have control over architectural design, appearance, and building materials. That they do, which they should, okay? Because they want you building something that's compatible and not only improves the value of your land, but others. That they can change, that the state allows them to. But they can't say you can't do this, or you can't do it that size, or anything like that.
Well, if it's detached, would they have to inspect it?
Okay, if it's detached, will they have to inspect it? It depends. We're gonna talk about the different types of construction, okay? And for example, one of the types of construction I'm gonna talk about is called manufactured, or manufactured HUD, HUD's Housing and Urban Development, okay? That's a federal standard that the factory has to meet when they build that home. That standard supersedes state standards, okay? So, to answer your question about inspection, when we do that, they do not inspect the house. House is already inspected. HUD has inspectors in these factories that are not employed by the factory, they're employed by HUD, okay? To make sure that it's built to that standard of safety, energy efficiency, and quality, okay? Now, they still inspect everything outside, right? The plumbing, the trenching, the electrical connections, everything outside the home, but not the home itself. And that's a biggie, because that's, you know, as soon as they see that plate on the back that says HUD, or if it's modular, it can be HCD insignia. As soon as they see that, they're like, okay, I don't inspect that. And they're actually quite happy about it because they can't get in any trouble or worry about missing something. So they don't mind that. Okay? Okay, on the detached, okay, it says 1,200 square feet. However, there's no limit on the detached. It can be anything from the smallest to the largest. On the attached, I should have mentioned this, okay, on the attached, it's 50% of the square footage of the primary residence, or 1,200, whichever is less.
That's on the detached.
Sure, go back to, so go back, let's make this note on the detached page. Okay? I'm sorry.
Attached, right?
Thank you. Attached. Thank you. Okay? So, it can be, it's the lesser of 50% of the square footage of the primary residence, or 1,200 square feet, whichever is less.
You
Okay?
cannot exceed that.
That's the largest.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, you've got a house that's, your primary residence is 1,800 square feet, okay? What would be the allowable ADU that you could have there?
900.
1,200,
900.
900.
oh,
50%
50%.
return or less. What if you had a house that was 2,500 square feet? What would the ADU be?
1,200.
There you go. Okay? Any other questions? I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to cover it later, so if you see this picture here, I'm gonna explain it. That's called a carriage house. Okay? I think these are gonna be very, very popular. It's a kind of a new concept. Does anybody know what a carriage house is? So, back in the day, this is where the horses came in. That was where the tack room is, and that's where everything, and then they used to be able to go into the residence, okay? So the carriage is like the horseless carriage, I suppose. All right?
So they actually put the carriage inside the house? That's what you're saying, like a garage? Was that the way they used to do it?
And they're
What's
the
that?
horses on the other side.
Where's the picture? It's under detached, maybe, let's see.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, we jumped back there just to make a note, but yeah, back to detached, sorry, thank you.
So carriage
So
house
the
is
bigger
kind of
house
like.
have a garage,
It does,
a kicker right here.
it does. Okay, now, what's very cool about that, and again, let's go back to, I'm gonna beat this drum, let's go back to Altadena, okay? I think this would be phenomenal, because they lost their garage too, right? So, and also, whether it's in Altadena or anywhere else, that's one of the reasons people do garage conversions, is because a lot of times they let you build those garages on a zero lot line. You don't have setbacks. Does everybody know what setbacks are real quick? it's the
Materials
distance,
on the side.
distance between you and your property line, you and your neighbors. Wes?
I have a question just for Altadena, not to go off subject. So like, let's say their house was burnt down, half of it, okay? They can't live in it, can't inhabit it, and they wanna put a detached ADU on it. So my question is on the financing of that, because a lot of times you're pulling equity from the main structure, right? But it's not financeable right now. What kind of financing would you do in a scenario like that?
So,
Besides cash?
besides cash. Yeah, the bigger problem, that's the biggest problem, is they don't have any cash and they haven't settled with the insurance company and they're waiting for the Edison lawsuit and their windfall, okay? So, I've heard two different scenarios. You tell me, okay, if one or both of them make sense. One is that you'd get a chattel loan on the ADU, okay? Because chattel is personal property, right, not real property. And then, when we put it on a permanent foundation, of course, it then becomes real property, and then you could do whatever kind of loan, right, Wes? Construction or land home, or I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
The only problem that I see with that is you could probably do a chattel loan. The problem is, when are you able to convert that into a traditional loan? And a lot of times that's gonna be when the other structure is
Yeah,
able to get constructed if you want a construction type loan.
that's a great question, I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I don't either. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah,
so.
I would think, and again, I don't know, it probably depends on who you're insured with and so forth, because the insurance companies are paying,
We are paying out right now.
they're paying out right now to pay for your living expenses. So I would say, let's approach the insurance company, say, hey, we've got this strategy, what do you think of it? Okay, and maybe they would say, okay, as long as this blah, 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 12 months maybe, I don't know, that's a really good question, I haven't crossed that bridge.
The exception of allowing people to build the ADU before the house, is it only in for the Altadena, the Eden Fire?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Because
She-
as far as Lake Riverside states, once you buy the land, you can basically like place an ADU until you're done with your construction.
Okay, you bought the land,
Bought the land,
and you pulled permits for a house and an ADU,
put the permits,
both permits were approved?
correct, and then you can have your pre-manufactured home until you're done with the construction.
Okay, so I think that, could everybody hear that?
No.
Okay, so let me try to recap it. It's Lake Riverside Estates, that's called Lake Riverside Estates. And they buy the land, okay, and then they wanna put the ADU on and then the primary residence.
Correct.
Did I say that correctly? Okay. So my feeling about that is, we're building both of them simultaneous. When we say simultaneous, I put a shovel in the ground for the ADU and I flip that dirt over my shoulder, I've started building. Okay, so I don't think I think it's a timing issue, as long as they're both getting built.
Property wide, exactly.
Yeah, so if you pulled permits, you'd be pulling permits on the primary residence and the ADU, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sure the city or county or whoever the jurisdiction is, I'm sure they would be over there making sure that you're doing both, that you didn't say you were going to and you're not going to. Also, when you pull permits, and it may vary in different areas, but they only last for a certain period of time. I think 1 year might be standard, okay? So if you don't build and have a final inspection within a year, you gotta start all over the permitting process. So there may be some danger in, the timing.
But you could ask for an extension, if there's something going on, if they could give you an extension for 3 months or something.
Okay, there you go. So you can get an extension. Thank you. Great. Okay, so again, we're gonna talk about different construction types, but detached gives you the most flexibility because you can go manufactured HUD, you can go modular HCD, or you can go site built, right? Okay, most people, including a lot of people that are in the ADU space, don't know this. Okay, but the ADU law does allow you to have a studio. Okay, so you don't, it used to be 1 bedroom, and it isn't anymore. They call it an efficiency unit, okay, but it's actually what we would call a studio, right? What does that mean with a studio? What's the difference between a studio and a 1 bedroom?
Has no bedroom.
No bedroom, no walls for a bedroom, okay? So what must it have? A closet, kitchen sink, cooking appliance, refrigerator, bathroom with a toilet and sink, and then a bathtub or shower. So it's got all the things that you need to do it in a very small space, okay? Now, by state law, that has to be 400 square feet, okay? Let me finish, and maybe you're gonna say the same thing. by state law, 400. However, California Building Code is 150. Yes, and California, in this case, California, the building law actually supersedes the ADU law.
Could I put 3 of those in the backyard?
Um,
You'd be surprised.
It's an ADU, so you can only have one.
Oh.
It's an ADU, it's a studio ADU. Right, 1 plus what?
A junior.
Thank you, junior. But yeah, but I got a strategy for you, Wes, so
2 front doors on 1 unit.
no, yeah, you stay there, you know where we're going. We're gonna, yes,
Are you gonna go over how much, like, these different things kind of cost?
absolutely.
Okay.
I'm gonna, my objective, and I probably need to be watching the time, but my objective is to ask all the questions that I expect you're gonna hear from a client. And of course, cost would be a big one. You tell me how I'm doing on that, okay? All right, here's one. I was talking to my friend Cowboy here about this one. This one gets me excited. Okay, accessory structure. You can take a structure that is already on their land, that's pertinent to the land, okay? And you can turn it into an ADU. And guess what the limit is on the size you can have on that?
None.
None. None. Existing. Why? Because again, we're gonna turn it into housing, we're accomplishing the objective, right? Affordable housing. So I look at my friend and he's talking about Norco, first thing that comes to my mind is all those barns. Right? And sometimes people have storage buildings, that qualifies, right? Some people have a pool house. They might be able to, yes.
I showed a piece of land by Gatland Hills with a big barn on it, but no house. Can they convert that without
No.
having a single family residence?
No,
It has to be.
it's still an ADU,
secondary.
it's still an ADU.
Okay, so they build a house on top of the hill and then they can convert the farm.
Whatever they want.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, or, what I think, I build a primary residence that's whatever the minimum is for that jurisdiction as the minimum size,
Yeah.
and then build my McMansion barn dominion or whatever. But you gotta have the primary first.
Okay, thank you.
But I think that's not only that area, I'm talking about the whole Inland Empire, right? This is awesome. We have land. Right? We have land, and we got land that takes on big buildings, you know? You go to Orange County, do you think they can do half the things that we can do?
No.
Nope. If you go to LA, you think they can do half the things that we can do?
Nope.
They don't have any place.
Well, they do, there's places.
It'll be way too expensive.
But it's gonna be expensive, and it's probably gonna talk about like, and we've done it. And I had one in San Diego County, down in El Cajon. We had to crane it in. There was no access. Because, you know, some people have good sized backyards, but there's no way to get to it. Yes?
What about you have like a barn like that and it's completely, I mean, you have to knock it down completely to make it more, can you do that? Or you have to use the same structure?
So the question is, you have to do it. I'm gonna guess at the answer, okay? And the guess that I would have is, it's just like when you burn the house down, or if you do a complete remodel, you have to leave one wall. You know how you always see people leave the fireplace there, because you have to leave one wall, so it's not a tear down. I would guess that the same thing would apply. You leave one wall of the barn, and then you can do everything else, and I think that would qualify, but I'm not an expert there for sure. But that's what I would try to do. Okay, this is a really exciting one here, people. Multifamily. Just last year, HUD approved multifamily HUD homes. Okay? So there's not only opportunities for your clients, but there's opportunities for you to talk to investors about this, right? And here's the big wow. This is a duplex. In fact, this is it at one of my factories in San Jacinto. Okay? Each side, there's 2 sides, an A and a B side. Each side is separately titled. I can see the wheels turning.
Like a mirror image.
How can you have,
It's like one half like that.
Yes.
On the same parcel?
Yes.
on the same parcel number, how can you have 2 titles?
Just like having an attached condo.
And it's just like multifamily. If you had condos or townhouses where they got 4, 6, 8, 10 of them,
Yeah, they're all-
it's condo is not the building structure. Condo is a form of ownership, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So the point is this. I thought you had your hand up. You're taking video. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's what really excites me, and should excite you as well. Okay. Now, and I'm pretty sure that in most cases, you have to have one mortgage. That's, if there's a stumbling block, it might be two mortgages, okay? I think you'd have to have one, but as far as two titles go, guess what? Each one gets an ADU. Each side of this structure can have a 1,200 square foot detached ADU. Now I've got a parcel of land, I've got this and two detached ADUs, and I got 4 rent checks coming in. Whoa.
Plus a junior ADU?
No, that's a good question. You can't do a junior on this. Man, you're working all the angles though, I gotta tell you, I like it.
But then you have to also, keep in mind that the county is going to have the zoning still. If the zoning doesn't allow you multifamily, so they will not allow you, right?
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. You hear that? You gotta be multifamily. Yes.
So if you have one parcel, do you have to first do a partition, and get that separated before you have 2 titles?
No, the parcel?
Yeah.
No, you own the parcel.
Partition of that one parcel.
You own the parcel.
Okay, so you don't have to break it up?
Nope,
before you-
that's something different. Yeah, there's another thing we'll talk about, which is SB9, which is a lot split. No, you don't split it up for this.
Oh.
Who said something about 5 or 8? Who said something? Who did? Yeah, okay, Dave, okay. You know what? Dave is very, very smart. You know why? He actually said the same thing that the city of San Diego said. The city of San Diego came up with their own ordinance, ADU ordinance, and they said if you meet the setback requirements and the lot coverage and safety issues like fire truck access and so forth and so on, there's no limit of how many detached units you could have. Okay? So everybody's like, oh, this is awesome, this is amazing. And you know what happened? All you know what broke loose. They had a guy, this is amazing. He built 21 detached ADUs on his parcel. There was somebody else that did 17. Okay, can you imagine the neighbors? Chaos and the traffic. I mean, it totally backfired on them. I mean, they had all these city council meetings and all these discussions, and somehow that they came out with that plan. It got so bad that they actually voted to stop all ADU construction until they could figure out a new ordinance. Yeah. So yes.
So when you say 2 titles, what exactly do you mean by that, 2 titles?
Okay, so I own this half and you own that half. You have a title, I have a title. You have homeowners insurance, I have homeowners insurance.
Okay, so you're talking about 2 separate deeds for the unit that's connected. Now, are you guys already selling these, and these are manufactured on a permanent foundation?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so you guys are doing financing for these
Yes.
for Fannie Mae and FHA?
Yes. So everything that I do is on permanent foundation. I don't do anything that's not permanent foundation, because everything I do is real estate, not personal property. Okay, but to answer your question, okay, if you want to see this, and if you want to go see a factory tour, we'll do that. You want to see this being made? This is 2 small ADUs, 2 small 800 square foot ADUs with a 2-hour firewall between them. That's what that is.
It's like condominiums, right?
Yeah.
But even on the larger one, you already have to have a primary residence on that.
A what, larger what?
A house, you have to have a house.
Always.
Yes.
Always has to be a primary.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why do you have 2 separate titles on this property if you own the land? Because you can sell one to one person?
You can live in one and sell the other. You can live in both, you and your family. You could sell both. That's 2 listings, 2 listings.
And they own the land.
2 listings
Like a
right there.
flood.
Like a co-op.
It's one parcel. Yeah, somebody owns that parcel. Make sense?
I think
Questions?
it's not that clear to me, at least, I don't know.
Okay, well, somebody help me then, because Cause it is, you're talking about the double titles.
Yeah, we're just confused that, how can you sell it if somebody else owns that property, you
Yeah.
know? If it's not, if it's one parcel,
Well,
how can we
number.
sell one unit without the land if the
I
other
think-
one owns it?
I think Cowboy just answered it. It's like it's a separate structure, okay? It's got a separate APN, right? It's got two property tax bills.
But at the beginning, there was only one parcel.
Yeah.
One parcel number.
There's only one parcel when we put an ADU on it with a primary residence. Now they got two, it's on the same parcel.
Subdivided them then.
If this would be like if they let us have two primary residences on that parcel,
Split it
which
up.
some play do, then each one of those could have an ADU. You'd have four also, wouldn't you?
Or create an easement on that parcel for that condo style, that home.
John, question, are those on septic or sewer line?
Depends on where it is. If you got city water and
These
city,
ones, the ones you're talking about in the San Ysidro.
we can put this on any lot you can sell.
That's his like model home.
This is a model home at the factory,
Model home.
yeah.
That's like when we go to the new builds and we look at the models, this is John's model.
Yeah.
So are most of these, because are most of them like in the rural areas that are on septic? Or just depends, like what have you seen?
Well, whether it's this or just
Uh-huh.
primary residence, just ADUs in general,
Yeah.
most of the times we see septic,
Okay.
okay? If you look at the map and look at all those parcels, you know, I mean, until they develop the whole area, then they'll bring in
Yeah.
the infrastructure, but until that infrastructure comes in.
So something like this would be on two separate septic?
Not necessarily, no, I had a lot in Yucaipa, okay, that, it was a really narrow lot. It was amazing, it may even still be sit for sale. It was a long, very long rectangular lot. And it had an alley at the back and a street on the front. I go, oh my God, put a duplex on there, because this particular one, both doors are coming out the side. I've got floor plans where the doors are on the end. And so you could either have both doors, or I could have the door for this one on this end and a door for that one on that end.
And they're sharing one septic?
No,
They're sharing.
well, that's a good question. You'd have to design the septic for 6
Okay.
bedrooms or whatever. But you know, so the point is, I forget where I was going with that.
You have one parcel.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they could, because parking's an issue, right? They could pull up right to the front of their duplex. The guy, one of them comes in the alley and pulls into theirs, and one comes in the front and pulls into theirs. Okay? So, yeah, I mean, it's just, and they've got city water and city sewer. And they got neighbors on both sides. There's a lot that's in between two. So that's the other thing, when you're looking for lots, you know, if you got neighbors on both sides, what do you have? Electricity. Inexpensive electricity. You buy some of these lots that are out in the middle of nowhere, like we can sell, right? A lot of the times, the reason it doesn't work is because of the distance to bring the electricity or the utilities. It's too far, it's very expensive.
What does this cost? Just,
What does what cost?
or what we just showed?
Oh, you know, the duplexes they're not that much different. If you bought 2 800 square foot ADUs, it's gonna be about the same, it's double. I think this one is like 180 for each side. I think the whole thing is 360.
And where is that located at?
Well, this is like she said, this is in San Jacinto where the factory is, but this can be
Okay.
placed anywhere. Okay, so what are we doing? We're creating family housing solutions, right? We talked about that, multi-generational tenants. Okay, I'm gonna talk about short-term rentals in a little bit. We talked about paying someone else's. Okay, I'm gonna just, real quickly, I'm gonna tell you about something else I'm working on, because we talked about rents, okay? Look at the bottom there. Employee housing. Go for it, go after that. Agricultural housing, we got lots of that, okay? More and more people that hire workers for their land are given housing. That's an opportunity for you, okay? And I'm also gonna, on the subject of rent, the other thing I'm working on is traveling nurses. You have any nurses in the house? Okay, traveling nurses, their agency places them in a medical facility or a hospital for a short period of time, usually 12 weeks, I think, is the standard, okay? In a neighborhood where the rent for a place that they would stay in, could be a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom, whatever it might happen to be, might be $2,000 to $2,500 a month. These agencies are paying between $3,500 and $5,000 a month. Okay? So I'm looking to establish a relationship with them so that any of your clients that want to do this, we make them aware of that situation. We don't get in the middle of it, right? We're not employment agencies, but we'll put them in touch with those agencies who know about the quality of what we do. They'll know about the integrity of KW Corona, and I think it's gonna be a great fit. And I can tell I'm behind schedule here. All right, so terminology. So I want you to know that the four different types, I'm gonna talk about 4 different types of construction. One is mobile home. One of the things that we do have to fight in this business when we talk about, especially about manufactured homes, is people think it's their grandpa's mobile home, right? It's not. Sometimes they're built in the same factory, which does cause some confusion. Mobile home is nothing more than an RV, really, okay? It's licensed by and regulated by DMV. Okay, it is personal property, it is not real property. We don't sell personal property, right? We sell, typically, well, I guess you can if you're selling mobile homes in a park. Okay. But, and you know if you sell into parks, you know that sometimes those can be converted to real estate. It's called 433A, right? So we can take that, if the code will allow, we can take that home, put it on a permanent foundation, file for a 433A, and then they switch over from personal property taxes to real estate taxes. And it's real estate. They can sell it. A lot of times people don't do that. Why? Because a lot of those parks, the people don't own the land. They own the home, but they're on leased land, right? They're paying rent for the land they're on, so they can't go put in a foundation on somebody else's land. But if it's land that's owned, then 433. Manufactured HUD, okay. HUD came out with this code in 1976. Anything built after 1976 would be built to the HUD code. Why'd they come up with this? Well, prior to that, you and I and anybody in this room could start a business making mobile homes, okay? Kind of like where we're at today with tiny homes, in a way. Okay, so there were no standards, there were no guidelines, and what was happening was the fire was starting because of the aluminum wiring, roofs were blowing off, people were dying, okay? And there was just no control. It was like the Wild West. So the government, unfortunately, the government had to step in and say, hey, we gotta protect our citizens. So they came up with this code. It said anything built from this point forward has got to meet this code. For safety, for quality, for even energy efficiency back then. So based on that, okay, new sales, you can't sell new HUD homes, right? And put them on a foundation. Only I can do that as an HCD dealer. As an HCD dealer, I can't sell the used ones. Okay, you can. Now, as soon as we put it on a foundation, who can sell it? Well, you. Okay? And that's another reason why investors are good too, because if an investor puts in a couple of these, and you're gonna get those listings, right, when they become real estate. Okay, so permanent foundation is the key to how does it become real estate. Okay, just site built, everybody's familiar with site built, right? Mm-hmm. All the lumber's, all the materials shows up at the job site, they put together a house. Stick built's another word for it. You gotta have a general contractor, it's built to local building codes, not to a federal standard. You gotta have an architect, so forth. And then modulars. Modulars is kind of a hybrid, if you will, kind of a cousin. Modular is built in a factory, so it's still factory built, but they're built in components or modules, like they might have a bathroom module, and a kitchen module, and so forth. And then those modules are brought out to the build site and put together.
Is that like a prefabricated ADU, kind of? Is that what that is, or no?
All of these, well, manufactured and modular are both prefab. Prefab means it's factory built. It's prefabricated and then brought to
So
you.
if you have, because I've heard that you can have these like prefabricated ADUs put onto your property, and it doesn't need like a permit and stuff like that, because there's like no water line and stuff, it's just,
It's an RV.
it's an RV.
Yeah. Same with the tiny homes. The tiny homes are really, they're like luxe RVs.
It's just for extra storage space, in my opinion.
What's that?
The prefabricated ones without the real estate, like an RV, you said.
This is built differently. It's built to be on a chassis and have wheels and be able to be moved around. It doesn't have the same insulation. It doesn't have the same energy efficiency, you know, so it's a completely different animal.
Modular homes have higher quality?
No, No, but again, you've got the automation, just like you do in a manufactured, okay, you've got the automation. Because we're gonna talk about the cost, and the cost is gonna be like 30% less for a manufactured HUD home than it is stick built. Why is that? Why? Because of the automation. There's a production line, and they deliver 2 houses a day, they build 2 houses a day in that factory, or whatever it might happen to be. So, but it's not equality. In fact, there's a lot of people, including myself, I argue about it. I would argue that manufactured is higher quality than stick built. They all have the makings of a 748 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath ADU. Everything that you would need to build it. Lumber, plumbing, appliances, shingles, you name it, okay? So which one of those trucks is headed for a manufactured HUD building site, which one's headed for a modular, and which one's going to a stick built?
They're the same.
Is the modular, yeah, this one.
I had to take a picture of one truck and make it 3, so they look bigger, but they're actually the same size. I know Photoshop a little bit, I just not quite this much. Okay, so it's not the materials and labor that's the difference. It's the process. When they're cutting down that tree, they don't know where it's going to end up. The plumbing's the same plumbing. Those shingles leave the factory. The labor and materials is exactly the same on all those different ways of building. The difference is the process. So when people talk about quality, well, what impacts that quality? Well, lumber. No, in fact, you guys use 2x4s in your walls, and we use 2x6. But even if we use the same lumber, it's the same lumber when it leaves the mill. What else? You know, see what I mean? So that's really the way you need to address that question of quality or flimsiness or whatever. Come on, it's the exact same materials and built by craftsmen.
So they're made out of wood, these homes at San Jacinto?
Some of the modulars are steel.
Steel.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Yeah, so it can either be, all of the manufactured is wood. That'll change, but right now it's all wood. But on the modular side, some of the modular factories use wood and some use steel. Okay, so everything that we're recommending in the fire zone is steel or aluminum, whatever it's made of. Okay? And if you like analogies, here's the one I like to use. Okay, it's the same ingredients, different kitchens. Okay, there's 3 chefs, they have the same ingredients, the same recipe. One cooks outside, one cooks in a commercial kitchen, and one cooks in an optimized assembly line. Somebody got a chuckle at least, come on. If it's not what I said, it's a picture of Lucy. You guys know that picture? They're telling, what's that lady in the background saying? Speed up! And then that's when they start. That's for the I Love Lucy crowd. Yeah.
So cost-wise, at the end, I know you said that the stick built is going to be more expensive than manufactured. Manufactured and modular, are they competitive in regards to the price?
Modular is less. I'm sorry. Manufactured is always going to be less. Manufactured is going to be. Modular is going to be close. Stick built will usually exceed it, but it really depends on the finishes. Okay. 30% of the cost of the home is in the finishes. So if you say you like quartz and I'm okay with Formica, that makes a big difference, right? So it's hard to kind of say. I can easily make a modular more expensive than a stick built just by finishes. Okay. Stick built also requires an architect, right? An architect is 15% of the budget. So if you got a, call it a $300,000 home, you have $45,000 tied up in just the architect. So, see what I mean? That's why it's hard to answer the question, it depends, but generally speaking, the answer I gave you. Yes, sir?
When you do a manufactured home and you're gonna put it on a site, do you guys take care of all the plans and, for plumbing and electrical and all that, or do you have to hire an architect in order to do a site plan?
For which one of the
For the
process?
manufacturer, you're gonna put a manufacturer on a land.
For manufactured, everything is done in the factory, and the factory architects that home, and they have engineers on staff that approve the plans and stamp the plans.
Okay, so it still goes through an architecture?
Oh, it does. It
in-house?
In-house, and you and I that buy that same model are getting the same drawings,
Oh, okay, got it.
okay? We can do some customization, but yeah, but generally speaking, it's, yeah, somebody did the architect. And then when codes change and rules change, you gotta change the drawings. The hard part is to get the engineer stamped. You can hire draftsmen all day long. There's a ton of them online that'll work for you. It's hard to get that engineer stamp on it, okay? So when somebody buys a HUD home, they get the whole pack of engineering stamped drawings to give to the city or county to get their plan approved. So it's also a huge savings in permitting. Okay? Do we need a break or we keep going?
Keep going.
Keep going? Okay. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is, I'm gonna move into Q&A. Not Q&A's muted, I'm gonna do that at the end as well. Again, I promised you that I was gonna try to envision all the questions that a client or a prospect might ask you. Okay? Yes, sir.
Question regarding the ADU. If I have a parcel with a house on 20 acres, is there a limit, a rule that states that I can build my ADU only so far from the main residence? Can I build it all the way on the other end of the parcel?
Everybody hear the question?
Yeah.
You can build it anywhere you want.
Okay,
Okay?
so there's no limit.
No. If you're my client, I'm gonna say you can build it anywhere you want, but, okay, where's your utilities coming from?
Yeah.
Because trenching is the big cost. So if you put it all the way down there, you might like the separation, but you might have just added $20,000 in trenching to get your utilities back there. Okay?
Okay.
So that's the key. If you don't have to worry about a utility location, you put it anywhere and it's still a good deal. Make sense? Yeah. Now, some places, because of setbacks, that's the other thing, okay? By law, for ADUs, for example, the setbacks are 4 feet on the sides and the rear, okay? That's the setback regulations for all ADUs. And you can't be any closer than that. However, the front setback varies by jurisdiction. Some say you have to be 10 feet from the front, some say 15, some say 25, which means you can't put your house up on the street. You gotta go back 25 feet, okay? If it's an area that already has homes, all you have to do is either take the assessor's map or take a Google Earth picture. If it's already got neighbors there, you'll notice all the front lines of those neighbors are all the same. Same with Altadena, everywhere, right? So that's where you're gonna put that's as far forward as you're gonna put your home. They're not gonna let you put it closer than that imaginary line that everybody built on. Okay? All right, here we go with the questions. Questions your clients have about ADUs, and you're gonna be likely the only realtor that knows or can speak to these answers. Does the building, oh, you have a question?
Permit processing,
Permit?
with each city or county.
Uh-huh.
Are there different, third parties that can handle that?
Uh,
For the permit processing?
Usually, the permits are pulled by whoever's gonna do the work. So if you got a general contractor that's gonna be doing all the excavation and pulling utilities and all that, they would normally pull permits. There are companies that just do pull permits. Okay, does building an ADU trigger a reassessment of my primary residence? That's a big fear, right? Nobody wants to see their property taxes double, right?
It
Okay,
should not, because there's no title change.
well, it doesn't matter, if you
Does
improve your land, if you put in a pool, your taxes go up. If you put in anything you do to improve the value, they can.
They will reassess it.
Okay, so, as far as ADUs go, the property taxes are only increased by the marginal value of the ADU. They do not reassess the primary residence. Just the value of the ADU, okay? Here's an example. $750,000 house, if I look at their tax bill right now, it says the assessed value is $320. Prop 13 and all, their taxes are $3,840, okay? Now you add an ADU that costs $225,000 to build, what are the taxes gonna be? Using the same percentage, 1.2 or whatever, $2,700. What are your new property taxes gonna be?
6,540.
Yeah. Okay? That's the way it should work. Next. Do I have to live in a primary residence in order to build an ADU? Does it have to be owner occupied? The answer is no. The answer was yes, 6 months ago. no longer. What's the exception? The exception's junior. You have to be owner occupied if you've got a junior in your house. Okay? Junior ADU, not your kid. Will building an ADU improve my home's resale value? And what you tell clients is, yeah, it's like adding an addition onto your home. If you add an addition onto your home, has the value gone up?
Yep.
Yes. Why wouldn't it be the same? Ulysses, or would it be the same? Be the same, right? It's like adding an addition. So absolutely. Agreed? How much will it add? Okay, there's no single answer, there's no right answer. There's lots of people out there spewing answers. You know what? Don't believe any of them. Because it's just not true. You can't. There's just no way you're gonna know that. Even the appraisers, although it's changed a lot in the last couple of years, the appraisers didn't have any idea what to do. And so even the appraisal institute finally came up with some ADU standards, okay, for how to do comps on an ADU. They didn't know for a while. And we didn't have comps, right? Because they were just, remember that graph back in 2016, 17? Yeah, we didn't have comps. So there's no answer, and so don't offer one, okay? However, I'm gonna give you something that people use that I think makes sense intuitively. For the sake of due diligence, because the client wants to know. They think you're evading the answer if you say, well, I can't give you that, we don't give legal advice and financial advice, etc., okay? Use the market price per square foot for the primary residence. Multiply it times the square footage of the ADU, and for the sake of due diligence, I would use that number. Could be less, could be more, okay? Kind of like if it was an addition, right? If you added 748 square feet onto your house, now when you go to list it, you put it all together, right? The market value for that house is still $399 or whatever a square foot. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, on the scenario, if you add an ADU, wouldn't that just be, as far as the realtor, wouldn't it just add another, like, extra 2 rooms to the main house? And that's how kind of, like, they kind of categorize it?
Okay, that's a great question. You cannot show the square footage of the house on the MLS to include both. You cannot do that.
You can't say 4 bedrooms, 3 baths?
No, your description can say, talk about the ADU. But if it's a 2,000 square foot home and you put in a 1,200 square foot, you can't say that that's a 3,200 square foot house. Okay?
You'll
It's
have to break it
2,000.
down. You'll have to break it down.
Yeah, and that might change, but right now, you can't do that. It's got to be separate. Yes.
You can't give us any kind of a range, broad range of what they cost?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay.
One of the questions people ask is, what does it cost? I'm sorry, next I'll put that slide up front.
Thank you.
But I think you need a little bit of the background too, because then you'd say, well, why are they different? Okay?
What you put in them and the quality.
Just the construction process and all the different things, so, but we'll work on that. Yes?
Just to clarify, what I'm trying to say is, if you're doing a attach on the same footprint of the main house, and you added another extra room with a restroom, wouldn't that add another extra room in the restroom on the same footprint of the house?
Unattached it would.
Correct, not on the
That,
detached,
yes.
so you cannot add the square footage on the detached, but on the attached one, you could add the extra room.
Exactly.
And the extra restroom, right?
Thank you for clarifying the answer, be yes.
And if you convert the garage,
Mhm.
you will also include that.
Attached garage,
Correct.
yes.
That's because currently we're doing one.
Okay.
We're doing an ADU and an attached ADU.
Okay.
On the same lot.
An ADU, what kind of ADU and an
A
attached?
detached and a junior
Oh.
ADU, which is the walk.
Yeah, detached and junior, good for you, that's the way to do it. If you have the room in the primary, and you don't mind people sharing your bathroom, or, if that's the case, but yeah, that's great, that's great. That's a good way to do it. Oh, yeah, okay, so the cost to build, you can use the cost to build, or you can use an appraisal. If there is an appraisal, of course, you'd use that to come up with what the property taxes are, right? We should try to forecast what the property tax would be. Okay. Here, I just used Carr's numbers for Corona. as an example. Yes, about cost, we got cost there, we've got the total. The average price per square foot here is $399. The average size of the homes here is 1,880 square feet.
It's got it on page 50.
748 square feet. Let me just cover it right now so I make sure I get to it, okay? 748 is a magic number. 495 is a magic number, okay? And we're gonna talk about fees, because that's also part of the cost. In fact, it can be significant. We're gonna talk about fees. The fees are gonna be different if you stay below 750 or below 500 in your ADU. I'll give you the details, but just know that, okay? And that's why if you go on websites where there's ADUs, you're gonna see a lot of them that are 748, 749, 499, 498, and so forth. You're trying to stay under that to avoid fees. So I did the same, okay? So what would be the improved value? Now all of a sudden I've got a 2,628 square foot living compound, right? So that's utilizing the price per square foot to try to figure out what the opportunity is. Does that make sense? Okay, you already know the answer to this. If I have a multi-unit residence, can I have multiple ADUs? Can I have, on a multi-unit, if I have a fourplex, can I have 4 ADUs? Yes, you can.
And a question on this one, I was wondering about the MLS listing. So it's gonna be 2 titles and 1 parcel. For example, if we're selling one side of the multi-family one, we'd be including the same lot,
Right.
right? Because
So-
it's gonna be 1 parcel.
So if you're gonna sell both of them, and maybe somebody else can help me with the answer, but if you're gonna sell both of them, I would think you'd have 2 separate listings and say, we're also selling side B, and on B listing, I'd say we're also selling side A. Anybody have a different thought?
And the parcel is the same parcel.
Right, right. And like I say, and Wes can answer that, or his people can answer that, but I think you're talking about one mortgage also. So typically, the person that's gonna be that owns the land, right, would have the parcel, would have the mortgage, and then they're basically selling 2 homes.
Two mortgages.
Hmm?
2 mortgages.
Nope, 1 mortgage, on a duplex I'm talking about. That's what I've been told by lenders.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, maybe there's a way around that, I don't know.
Yeah, just to add to that, I own a duplex and you cannot sell it independent. You cannot sell unit A or unit B. You have to sell it together. Because they're titled together.
Yeah, it's titled separately.
Then you can, as
Like you
far
were
as.
saying earlier.
Right.
Yes, as far as the condo.
This is
But
why.
Not a apartment.
Right.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Right. This is why HUD adding this to what they'll approve is a big deal. Because otherwise it would just be 1 building. You might call it 2 people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'll be having divorce.
yeah, exactly. Here's when you get a lot of, can I sell the ADU separately from my primary residence? Most cases, no. Okay, there is an assembly bill called AB 1033 that is changing this, and it says that you can actually create a condominium environment, a condominium form of ownership. All right, and the home and the ADU would be the 2 units, and they would own a share of the common property, common area. Okay? Everybody get that? It's really important. Yeah.
Yes, I have something to add to that too. I own a piece of land and they're acres. So it's a county and it's really important because they don't allow me to do my second unit no less than 1,200 square foot. Because of the fact that in the future, if it gets, because it's still county, in the future it becomes part of benefit, what happens is that they do more parcels, they do smaller lots, and then that becomes its own unit. That'll be way in the future, so they're already kind of like.
So what minimum are they making you adhere to?
Say again?
What size are they making you adhere to?
The minimum is 1,200, the second unit, my first unit could go as much as like 400.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my
You can't do 950 square foot ADU, it's gotta be 1,200.
It's 1,200, no. Yeah,
Okay.
I cannot go lower than that.
Your question answered?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, now, I'm gonna come back to this and I'm gonna talk to Dave and Raquel about this too, because I think at some point, we could actually, it doesn't have to be a boot camp, but we should have a meeting talking about this
Mortgage.
condoizing. all right? I think this is the direction we're going as a state. When you condoize, you can sell them both separately. It's the only way you can sell your ADUs separately. Right? Now, who wouldn't like to do that? Who wouldn't like to build an ADU and then have the ability to sell that for 250 grand to improve your family? That's amazing. I'll come to you, okay? The state of Washington, folks, they're full steam ahead with this plan. It's in place. It's wildly successful. Okay? There's 60,000 permits, 60,000 ADUs. What's going to happen if California adopts what Washington's doing? Pick your number. I'm going to say at least a third of those are going to get sold. There's 20,000 listings. Right? Potential listings. So I want us to be ahead of the learning curve on that, okay? I want us to know about it, know what the possibilities are, know how it works, so that if somebody puts it in, we're ready. Because I'll tell you what, we'll pounce on the market before the rest of the realtors even know there's something's going on. Because we prepared for it, okay? I think it's a huge, huge opportunity. I'm just thinking it's gonna happen, but I can tell you it has happened elsewhere. Okay, yes, you had a question?
Yes, going back to this, where you said that you could sell them as condominiums, so there's no way that you would be able to split the land, ever?
Yes, there is.
With the ADU?
Oh, not with the
Primary
ADU.
home and the ADU,
No.
no, you would never be able to do that?
Not unless this happens.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing you can't do is build an ADU and not tell the jurisdiction and make that a primary residence. Okay, some people try that. Not a good idea, because if they find out, they can shut you down.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Has any of the cities already opted in for the 1033?
Well, that's a great, Santa Monica has, Los Angeles is looking at it, San Diego has. And then a whole bunch of others in other parts of the state, but as far as like our area. There's a lot of cities that are looking at it. And I can get the list and share with you who's thinking about it, who's at least, it's shown up in the notes or the transcript from their city council meetings. So they're talking about it. But yeah, there's only like, I think 3 or 4 in Southern California that are actually doing it already.
Thank you.
Mhm. Can I save money by using building plans that somebody else in my city has already approved? The answer is yes. Okay? This is a big deal, especially if it's stick built, right? Because if, like, let's say one of your neighbors puts in an ADU stick built, and you absolutely love the place, this would be perfect for me. Okay? If you use their plans, you can build that exact one on your property and not have any of the expenses of architect and so forth. And it's already been approved by the city. So your plan set that you submit to the planning department are all approved already, right? For somebody else. Okay, there's only one caveat, and that caveat is it has to be in the same code cycle. Okay, building codes have cycles. And so it has to be in the current cycle of building codes.
What's a cycle?
It's an amount of time. I don't know what it is. It can vary. But my point is, like, I've got some plans that the people that owned my house before me had plans for a guest house in the backyard. I've got all those plans. I got rolls and rolls, and you know, that was 15 years ago. I can't take those and say, I want to do the same thing now. Now, I can take those, by the way, and this is what you can do. I can take those and I can pay an architect to bring them up to current code.
Yeah.
Okay? And that'll be a whole lot less than starting from scratch. That you can do, yes.
Do you have to use the same, I guess, firm that submitted those plans? Can you use a
Nope.
different builder for that?
Sure can. The plans are approved. And now, there's also cities and counties, some of them started this and then bailed out, but there's also cities and counties and that have pre-approved plans. Okay? I've got an ADU going in right now in Desert Hot Springs. The city of Desert Hot Springs has, I think, 5 different plans that you can adopt. Okay, they're stick built. But they've already approved all of the drawings and everything else like that. So if you want the fast track.
Shorter process, right?
Oh yeah, it makes the process a whole lot easier. Then, you know, they give you that opportunity. They're expensive. That's the only thing I thought they'd be saving it.
How much?
Oh, I don't know, they were like $15,000 or $20,000 more than the same thing we did. All right, so if, I'm gonna leave this condoizing, one last thought, okay? And that is, that will actually result in a different listing type. Okay? If it happens. It's not just a little assembly bill. It's gonna create a new listing type in the MLS. All right. Can I have a drum roll, or a hip hip hooray, or how much do ADUs cost? Can everybody read those numbers? Manufactured HUD, $175 to $295 per square foot. Cross mod, and I'm going to show you a picture of a cross mod, I think in the next couple of slides. Cross mod is a manufactured HUD home that is built to look like a stick built, okay? Because people want that aesthetic, right? So they're more expensive, but that's because a cross mod home must, to qualify, must include a garage, a stick-built garage, and a stick-built porch. So you can't just take the HUD home and call it cross mod. So if you do that, and what's going to happen is Wes and his people, they're gonna appraise it as stick-built. They have to. Okay?
You said it has to have a stick-built garage and?
Porch.
Oh.
Okay?
Are those the ones that like look like a house, like?
You wouldn't know the difference.
I sold one of those.
Yeah, inside or out, you wouldn't know.
The agent put SFR, and we were in Asco, she switched it to manufactured.
Oh.
But thank goodness it was attached, my client wanted the
Right.
house, and we bought it. You would have never known that it was, one of those houses.
I've been in listings and I'm like, they had to tell me.
Yeah.
Okay, and I sell these things. They had to tell me that was cross mod, not stick built. I was very surprised.
The range of the cost is too big. Is it because of the finish?
Fits and finishes are part of it, but there's other things, okay? The land. This, the low end of that assumes flat land. Okay, as soon as you got any slope, you got excavation. You have a lot of slope, you got a retaining wall. Okay, distance to the utilities. I talked about that already. That can be tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, and then what about your own personal taste? Okay, some people, like if they're buying one of these and it's going to be for a rental, they go with the lowest grade of everything: carpets, counters, blah. If you're going to live in it, no. Okay, I want that kitchen island quartz. I don't want it Formica. I want the upgraded carpet, right? I want shutters on the outside.
Yeah.
You see? So fits and finishes are a big part of that. And then the fees, depending upon the size of the fees. The fees on a small one can be, like I say, I'm going to tell you how to avoid them entirely, but usually most of the times they're based on square footage or linear footage. So that's the reason for it. That's the reason for the big spreads. And it says plus on site built, because site built there's really no limit to what you can do. If you've got the money, they'll build you anything. So now there's also scammers, and I have this problem in Altadena also. We got scammers in Altadena. They're quoting people $1,000 plus a square foot. Absolutely criminal.
Wow.
Okay, but those are numbers that are from. What does it say on the bottom? Can't be read it. It's so small. Somebody read that. Read that out for the whole group.
It says land already owned, relatively flat parcel, good access, mid-range finishes, utilities are nearby.
Pretty much the things we talked about, plus the access. Okay, again, Cowboy and I were just talking about a place, great parcel with a 360-degree view. Okay, the person that's thinking about buying it can't get to the property. The road is in such bad shape, right? So she's got a Land Rover or a Range Rover, and she just goes at idle speed and just, tries to make it up to the house. Well, there's no way I can get a manufactured HUD home up there because it's already completely constructed. It would never make that. Now, I do brag about the fact that the manufactured HUD homes go through a 70-mile-an-hour wind tunnel. Can't say that about stick built. Come on, people. Right? They go down the freeway, that's pretty cool, okay? Now, you notice that the manufactured HUD, just like mobile homes, the roof lines look like this. I just thought of something, right? That's part of the aesthetic, right? And site built is like this, aren't they? And that's the other thing about crossmod, by the way. Crossmod also has to have the roof pitch. I overlooked that, okay? So it's three things. Okay, why is manufactured HUD like this and stick built like that? Any thoughts?
The wind, the transportation.
You're close. We have to go into the overpasses.
Oh.
They build them to the exact height where they can go underneath the overpasses. Otherwise, manufacturers would be like that too. Why not? Okay? And that's why when we talk about transportation costs as part of this too, we have to get it there. The manufactured HUD can be anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000 per section. If you tell me you want to do this and you want to put it up in Lake Arrowhead or somewhere up there, you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to get the road, I'm going to have to get highway patrol to close the road. Okay? I'm going to have to do it between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. I'm going to have two pilot cars, not one. I'm going to have a pilot car in the front and a pilot car in the back. And I'm going to have to pay Caltrans, okay, for a licensing fee to make that transport. Okay? It's possible. Imagine, you hear the dollars ringing up. Same thing with the, even the lots here. If there's access, they can roll them right in and then set them on the foundation. It's already been constructed for that purpose. Okay? If not, you gotta crane it. Crane, I had the deal I told you about in El Cajon. The crane was $14,000. Okay? And then there were electrical lines. So the crane has to go over the electrical lines. So now we have San Diego Gas and Electric out there telling us how much they're gonna charge us. And they said, well, it's not just a matter of taking the power out from you, because your house is here, it's gonna be the whole block.
Yeah.
Again, everything's possible, but, so that's why there's ranges. Yeah.
Is there some kind of insurance on the transportation?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's insured for the whole value. Because I already own it.
Who has to pay for that? Does the person who is getting the modular home built, are they paying for insurance on that transportation, or is that kind of built into the cost?
It's built into the cost.
Okay. I was thinking about that one, I don't know if
Yeah.
I saw the big modular home that got
Yeah.
crashed into.
On Toronto?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I saw it
Crazy.
sitting up there. What happened?
Video.
No, what happened though? It wasn't an
Like it
overpass.
split or it
It
fell
like
over?
slanted over, it's almost like it
was
wasn't
cut in half.
structured.
I think
Yeah.
they hit the brakes and the house
Yeah,
just surged
something like
forward
that.
because the back was untouched and the front was down like this. I'd love to know what
He
happened.
was turning, and then.
Somebody said it happened on the off ramp. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, so basically, here's the deal, okay? When I build a home at the factory, when I have to pay for it before I leave the grounds of the factory, I gotta pay for that home. Now my insurance kicks in. And then the transportation company takes it from there to the build site, and their insurance covers that. I've got like, and it's like a $10 million policy or something. It's crazy, because again, if they got in a wreck or something, you can imagine. Okay, I made this note about the cost and the other thing. We also talk about timeline, and I'll cover that another time, but rule of thumb is 1 month for every 100 square feet you're building. Just want a good rule of thumb for a timeline.
1 month for
Every 100 square feet. And people say, how long would it take to build the average manufactured HUD home? You know, I tell them, the things that I have control over, 3 months. Okay? The things that I have no control over, also 3 months. Waiting for inspections, blah, 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 things I have no control over. You know, sometimes the inspector comes in a week, sometimes it's a month. So it's kind of like price. You gotta be careful quoting timeline too. Did we cover pricing to your satisfaction? So take 1,000 square feet, let's say for an ADU, times the numbers, and that'll help you. Well, how much will they rent for? Okay, a few of you have computers, don't you? There's a website called Rentometer, RENTOMETER. Let's see. thought I had that set up, but it's gone. So that's what it looks like. Rental meter, and you can use this, not only for ADUs, you can use this when, if you do it, try and figure out the price for a lease. on a
They only
listing.
give you a certain amount, I think.
Hmm?
They only give you a certain amount of estimates.
How many you doing, Carol?
No. So here's the deal, okay? I think they just give you one. So you put in an address, here's what it does though, put in an address, it's got a database of all the leases in your area. It goes back 12 months and a 2-mile radius and tells you all the rents. And it gives you the average and the range and the median, okay? So I have the pro membership. So if you need that, come and see me and you could use mine and I'm unlimited on how many times I can pull that. All right, those of you that do a lot of this might want to think about getting that subscription, but that's really good information. Why? Because again, if they say how much they rent for, well, if I say $3 grand, they can say, well, where do you come up with that? So it's always great, isn't it, to have a third party reference, that neutral, arm's length, and this is a great resource for that.
So it gives you the address and everything?
You put the address in.
And then it will give you the area?
And you can change that too. You can change the length of time and you can change the radius. So you can say instead of 12 months, I want 6 months. Instead of 2 miles, I want 5 miles. You can do that too, okay? It gives you all that latitude. But the default is two miles and 12 months. I meant to put the address on there. Did everybody get that URL for that website? Yeah. Can I finance an ADU without giving up my low interest first mortgage? Yes. Would you like to, you want to take questions now or you want to take some questions later? And go about?
I can jump into some questions.
Okay, so if you have questions about financing, Wes and his guys have agreed to help us out here. So.
So yeah, we just answered that question. Can you finance a house without giving up your low interest rate? I think one of the craziest things is that people get so stuck on rate. If you're gonna build an ADU and potentially create $3,000 worth of rental income, is your rate going up a little bit gonna really damage the potential for getting $3,000 in rent? What do you guys think?
No.
No?
It
Thanks, Dave.
depends. It depends on
It
how much-
depends. It depends on the size of the loan you have, but I will tell you right now, people are really stuck on having that low rate, and a lot of times it's the cash flow, right? Is really what a lot of people should be concerned with, is cash flow. If you're gonna create a lot more cash flow by adding an ADU to your home on a monthly basis, and it depends on what you're planning on doing with that ADU, right? I mean, if you're gonna have family move in that aren't gonna pay any rent, a little bit different situation. But if you're gonna truly be leasing it to people that are looking to rent it for a year or two, and you're creating that cash flow, it may be an opportunity for us to run the scenario of what a higher interest rate might look like on a cash out refinance, and actually kind of compare the numbers and see what it looks like. Now, let's say they're adamant about